Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Preston here from Bull City Reader, and welcome to this week's video. For those of you that are not new to my channel, thank you for watching. For those of you that are new to my channel, welcome to Bull City Reader. I post weekly videos about books. So we're just going to jump into today's video. Earlier this month when I released my September wrap-up, in the wrap-up I told you what books I read and also what books I reviewed. I thought that video was a little too long, so I'm going to break that up into two. So right now I'm just going to tell you about the books that I read in October. So as of recording this, I am recording this a little early. It's October 22nd, but I'm about to have some dental work done, some dental surgery. And so I want to have a couple videos recorded. Plus I don't know if I'm really going to finish a book by the end of the month because I haven't started one yet, because with the dental surgery coming up I've been kind of nervous about it. But anyway, with all that aside, I read two books. One of them is a adult novel. Another one is it's a YA novel, but or I don't even know if you can call it a novel. But anyway, guys. So first up in the month, the book that I read was Vicious. I put up a post about what V.E. Schwab book should I read, and a lot of y'all suggested, or the one that got the majority of the votes was her Darker Shade of Magic series, but for some reason I wanted to read this one, because the second book, Vengeful, was released. But also, I guess I was kind of in the mood for kind of what's supposed to be a superhero story, or kind of a superhero story. So, Vicious by V.E. Schwab revolves around our two characters, Victor and Eli. The story is told kind of jumping back and forth from, like, current day, back to when they were in college, back to current day, to a couple years ago, back to current day. It sounds confusing, but it's not. The way that the story is told, it just flows. It's a good read. But anyway, in college, they're working on their thesis paper or whatever, and they are researching, it's basically Eli is researching, I'm trying to think how to describe this. Basically, Eli's research leads them to, he thinks that you might be able to get superpowers from near-death experiences or coming back from the dead. So anyway, the research leads them to trying it on their own and getting their own powers, and then the story kind of goes from there. Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? It was fun learning about the characters. I enjoyed learning about the characters. The world's kind of it's kind of modern day, but, you know, the world building was good. I guess what little bit, I guess you can say there is. I know she's known for her world building, but, it kind of takes place in modern days, and there's no major sci-fi thing to it. It's just the fact that they get superpowers. So the superpowers that some of the people had were really cool. All in all, really, it's a fun read. It's a satisfying read. I honestly don't know if there should be a second book. I think there's kind of a debate on the BookTube community about should there be a second book, or is it fine as is? I'm new to V.E. Schwab, so I don't know if when she wrote this book, she always had multiple books in mind, or if this was in her mind going to be a standalone and people requested that she write a second one, and so she did. I'm not 100% sure how that worked. I believe I've heard from the people I know that have read Vengeful, now she has to do a third book the way that she ended the second one. But for me, Vicious was fine on its own. So once I finished Vicious, I didn't feel the need to jump into Vengeful. I didn't feel like, man, I really need to continue this story. Let's go ahead and jump into it and see, what happens. Because I felt like she ended it on a good note anyway. So I don't really see the need for the second book right now. Maybe my mind will change when I read it. I'm not reading it right now. And I actually, honestly, don't have it high up on my TBR. I do have the book. It's right down here, and I think I showed it in my September wrap-up when I bought it. But I did not feel, I don't know, I just didn't feel the need to jump to it right away. Vicious, overall, I think I gave it 4 on Goodreads. I would probably rate it a 3.75. I know a lot of people really love this book. but I'm kind of sitting somewhere between a 3.75 and maybe a 4 as an overall rating for this book. If you like kind of origin stories on how some people got their superpowers, and then a battle between the two, it's a fun story. I mean, I would recommend you read it anyway. It's a fun story. I don't think you'll be disappointed reading it. Is it worth all the V.E. Schwab hype? I don't know, because I haven't read A Darker Shade of Magic yet, and that's supposed to be, from what I understand, like her best series to date. But I do know a lot of people like this. So anyway, V.E. Schwab Vicious, check it out, give it a read. So then the other book I read this month, it's a YA book. I can see why it's not a middle grade or kid book, because of some violence in it. But I read And the Ocean Was Our Sky. This is supposed to be a Moby Dick retelling told from the point of view of the whales, I guess. It's written by Patrick Ness, and it's illustrated by Ravina Kai, I believe is how you say her name. As you can see from the cover is stunning and beautiful. And of course, you know I look underneath the dust jacket, right? And so when you take off the dust jacket, I promise you, you will not be disappointed. But I'm not going to leave you hanging either. I was just taking the dust jacket off. Here is what is behind the dust cover. This is the front cover. Wraps around to the side where the title is. And then to the back, we've got this design on it. So it's a beautiful book. I picked it up when I saw that. I was kind of in a Patrick Ness mood, and I was waiting for one of his series to come in, and it kind of got delayed, so I read this instead. I got turned on to Patrick Ness by another booktuber, Beards and Books. Highly recommend you check out his channel. He read the series that I ordered, and it came in just late, which I'll get to that in my next video. Me and him briefly talked about the book on Twitter, kind of back and forth. He said don't judge Patrick Ness by this book, and I hope he's right, because honestly, I was not impressed with this story. Besides the illustrations, I mean, this is when you open the book, this is the illustration. Some of the, I get, his writing was alright, but sometimes the story gets a little confusing unless you see the illustrations. So the story is told from the whale's point of view. From the whale's point of view, the main whale in the story is Bathsheba. She hunts humans, kind of just like how in, I guess, I've never read Moby Dick, and maybe that's part of it. But just like in Moby Dick, I guess the humans are hunting whales. In the story, the whales hunt humans. They use their heads for stuff, like sell their heads and their limbs. It's kind of like a currency or trading or something. This story could have been so good. I believe this story could have been good. It could have been really good. I wish the book was a lot bigger. I don't know, a lot bigger. Twice the size, maybe? I don't know. I feel like there could have been more digging into the world. There could have been more brought out about the characters and backstories instead of just quick mentionings about stuff. I mean, the world building that he did was interesting. It was an interesting world. The whales hunting humans, and then with it saying and the ocean was our sky. The way that their world is, I mean, this is a good illustration for how the world is. You know, this is the water, so this is how we would be according to them, you know, if you flip it over. So for the whales, the top of the water would be like our ground. So the top of the water is like their ground, and the deeper part of the ocean is their sky. And then so for, you know, so anyway, that's how the world's set up. That's why it looks like this. Long story short with this, the whales, the group of hunters that our main character Bathsheba is with, is hunting. The whales go after Toby Wick, Moby Dick, Toby Wick, and it all revolves around so Bathsheba, the group that she's in, she's kind of an apprentice. They find a shipwreck. There's a hand sticking out of the boat into the water, and it's holding a coin. The way that they're able to communicate with the human is interesting. They basically put like an air bubble around him, and they keep him underwater and just keep refilling it with air. So that was kind of interesting. But overall, I honestly didn't feel a connection with any of the characters, really. I mean, Bathsheba's relationship with the human was interesting. I wish they would have focused on that more. It's not like a romantic thing, but how they get to know each other and kind of understand each other, that was fun and interesting. The world, like I said, is interesting. I just wish, like, I mean, it's short. I just wish there was more to it. But I don't think this is the way he normally writes. I believe I read somewhere that he wanted to write the same way that Moby Dick was written, with that type of language. I never read Moby Dick, so I don't know if he accomplished that or not. I read the story. I wanted to know what was going to happen, but I never felt like I couldn't put it down. I felt like I could put it down and pick it up whenever I wanted to. It wasn't very engaging to me. The best parts of the book are, you know, the illustrations that are in here. I was trying to just like randomly open to one. I mean, the illustrations are fantastic. The illustrations bring up the star rating, but for me, I mean, I honestly can't give this more than 3 stars. Will I read it again? Probably not. I'll probably end up just donating it to the library, even though it's a beautiful book and the illustrations are beautiful. I honestly don't think I would read this again. So, I mean, take it for what you want. If you like Moby Dick, if you've read Moby Dick, maybe you'll appreciate this more than I did. But overall, man, 3 stars. I don't know that I'll highly recommend it, and probably put it towards the bottom of the books that I read this year. So, And the Ocean Was Our Sky by Patrick Ness. But anyway, guys, that's it for the books that I've read this month. Thank you for watching this video. Like I said, I'm going to have some dental work done. I'm about to record another video once I stop recording this, so that way y'all have one for after my dental work's done, just in case I'm still kind of out of it. So anyway, guys, until next week, until next time, keep reading, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!